Today is Tuesday, 4th February 2021. Welcome to UBC News Tonight. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha with Nakakoni Elizabeth on sign language. Let's take a look at the top stories of the day. Top stories of the day. Former LRA Commander Dominic Ongwen guilty of 61 accounts of war crimes. Uganda joins the rest of the world to celebrate World Cancer Day. In more stories to come, Safe Border top management riders and clients lock horns over new terms on News app. Central Kamaru Best Sports Club on Dumpaka signs $625 million sponsorship deal. Good evening once again. My name is Sharon Kyomugisha with Nakakoni Elizabeth on sign language. In our top stories of the day, President Yoweri Museveni says that the plan for the reopening of schools and institutions of higher learning has been approved, and this will be done in a phased manner considering semi-candidates. Now, Museveni revealed this in his latest COVID-19 update at the State House, Nakasero. The president reacted and also revealed that other sectors like bars and theatres that were affected remain closed until Uganda gets access to vaccines.
Remember that education has been going on. It was a pity that some people interfered with the radios. When we were supposed to give radios to these learners, but some people interfered with that. I was busy campaigning, I didn't get time to fight, because it would have caused some little war. But Katonda Jari, God is there, so we shall sort it. Otherwise, my idea was to have radios for every homestead. Now, in order to complement those radio educations, after the 6th of April, when the present candidate classes have gone away, then the Ministry of Education will will announce a detailed plan for how the S2s and the S4s and the S1s and the S2s can now also come to school in order to complement what they are learning through long-distance education. I think the idea here may be to stagger them, for them to come. One class comes for some time, they top up what they are learning from long distance, and they go, and then after some time they go away, and then another class comes like that, so that we maintain the smaller numbers, because now you hear out of the 15 million, once we have the two batches of the candidate and semi-candidates, the number goes to 3 million. Which is still much less than the 15 million. 20% using the space of the previous 100%. Now, once the present candidate classes go away, that means the 1.3 million go away, so you can now be able to bring in these other staggered classes. I don't know whether the Ministry of Health here would want to have like a maximum, a ceiling, for instance, to say out of the 15 million, do not at any one time have more than so many. If she tells us 3 million or whatever, then we shall be guided. They will work on it. Now that will come in a staggered way. They come and go away, and others come and go away, others come and go away. Then they continue learning at home.
Well, there you had it from the president. In more stories, the International Criminal Court has convicted Dominic Ongwen, a former commander of the Lord's Resistance Army (LRA), on 61 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Presiding Judge Bertram Schmidt revealed that based on the evidence before court, there was no ground excluding Dominic Ongwen's criminal responsibility, and his guilt was established beyond any reasonable doubt. Our senior reporter Samuel Senolo followed the proceedings on the verdict and filed this report. Watch.
With 70 counts of war crimes against humanity, Dominic Ongwen, a former commander of the LRA rebel group, is the first defendant at the ICC to face so many counts. The trial chamber, composed of Judge Bertram Schmidt, Judge Peter Kovakas, and Judge Raul Kano, analyzed the evidence submitted and discussed it before the trial, and found beyond any reasonable doubt that Ongwen is guilty of attacks against the civilian population, further sexual and gender-based crimes he committed against girls and women within the Senior Brigade, and the crime of conscripting children under the age of 15 into Senior Brigade and using them to participate actively in hostilities.
The chamber has therefore convicted Dominic Ongwen of a total of 61 crimes, compromising both crimes against humanity and war crimes. To try to sum up in a few words the lengthy and technical verdict rendered by the chamber, Dominic Ongwen has been found guilty beyond reasonable doubt of a number of crimes committed in the context of the four specified attacks on the IDP camps of Pajule, Odek, Lukodi and Abok. Attacks against the civilian population, murder, attempted murder, torture, enslavement, outrages upon personal dignity, pillaging, destruction of property, and persecution.
In his defense, Ongwen, through his lawyers, had cited mental defect during the period he is alleged to have committed these crimes. He further argues that he was under duress when he is alleged to have committed the crimes. However, the trial chamber judges didn't find any evidence supporting these claims.
Dominic Ongwen did not commit the crimes found by the chamber under duress. There is no basis at all in the evidence to hold that he was subjected to a threat of imminent death or imminent or continuing serious bodily harm to himself or other persons at the time of his conduct underlying the charged crimes.
This case was also the first at the ICC to involve an alleged perpetrator and victim of the same war crimes. Following this verdict, the chamber will impose on Dominic Ongwen the sentence for the crimes he has been convicted.
For the purposes of determining the appropriate sentence, the chamber will also consider submissions by the prosecutor, the defense from Mr. Dominic Ongwen, and the legal representatives of the participating victims. A decision in this regard, including as concerns the strict timelines of the proceedings leading to the imposition of the sentence, has also been issued by the chamber this morning.
Uganda was the first country to refer a case to the ICC. This referral led to arrest warrants being issued in 2005 for 5 of LRA top commanders, including the rebel group's leader Joseph Kony, his then deputy Vincent Oti, and Dominic Ongwen. Ongwen surrendered himself to U.S. forces in the Central African Republic in January 2015, and his trial before the ICC began in December 2016. Samuel Sennono, UBC News.
Residents of Gulu City in northern Uganda have welcomed the decision of the International Criminal Court on Dominic Ongwen. The former rebel commander of the Lord's Resistance Army has been found guilty of 61 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Now, locals in northern Uganda say such a decision will deter others from committing similar atrocities.
To some other parts of the world, Thursday, 4th February 2021 may have been just like any other ordinary day, but in Uganda, it was historical. Here at Queen Parish, in Laro division of Gulu City, residents patiently waited for the sitting of the International Criminal Court. The Hague-based court was scheduled to make judgment on Dominic Ongwen, a former LRA commander.
Let the court take its action. It should not be interfered with. If they find that he can be put in life imprisonment, that is the decision of the court.
Everyone was anxious. When the wait was no more, both children and adults paid attention in order not to miss a single point. At the end of the day, a decision was taken. Ongwen was found guilty of 61 out of the 70 initial counts of war crimes that he was battling.
Particularly on the attacks against 4 IDP camps in northern Uganda, on the attack of Lukodi, Odek, Pajule, and Abok. And in this attack, the judges found that there are reasonable basis to found that Dominic Ongwen is guilty of enslavement, destruction of properties, burning houses, and so many things in the camps.
The day may be historical, but the case is not yet conclusive. So, what next?
The judges will now wait for the submission from the parties of the proceeding. They will wait for the submission from the office of the prosecutor. They will wait for the submission from the defense, and they will wait for the submission from the legal team of the victims. They'll have to submit on their views and their concern, and for which the judges will now come out with a sentencing.
To the locals who had followed the proceedings in silence, it was a step towards aiding justice for victims of LRA atrocities.
This one also teaches us, the people of the whole world, or in Uganda particularly, to know that for sure there is no any human being above the law.
ICC also, they should wake up and take a good, I know that Ongwen is going to be a good example for all the citizens and some other country.
The International Criminal Court issued a warrant of arrest for Dominic Ongwen in 2005, following Uganda's referral of the LRA matter to the court in 2003. He was indicted alongside 4 others, 2 of whom, Okot Odiambo and Rascal Kuya, have since been confirmed dead.
Our mandate is to see that justice is delivered.
With Dominic Ongwen now convicted, what message could this send to other rebel fighters who would have loved to seek amnesty and denounce rebel activities? Henry Okurut, UBC.
Thank you so much, Henry Okurut, for that perspective. Now, the president of the Association of Mothers Union in Uganda has told President Yoweri Museveni and First Lady Janet Museveni in a meeting held at State House that the lack of information and communication in the different government programs for women in communities has kept women behind. President Yoweri Museveni and the First Lady met both Muslim and Christian women under the umbrella organization of Mothers Union of Uganda. Details in this report.
President Yoweri Museveni and First Lady Mrs. Janet Museveni have held discussions with the Mothers Union Group and Muslim women leaders at State House in Tebe. Mrs. Janet Museveni, who is also Minister of Education and Sports, thanked the ladies for working voluntarily to mobilize fellow women for development.
These are Mothers Union groups of women from around the country. Maybe they are not representing the whole country, but there are a good number of them, and they came voluntarily. I didn't have to look for them myself. But we also have women from the Muslim group, and they are part of this group today.
Speaking on behalf of the ladies, Mrs. Josephine Kasato, President Mothers Union Namirembe Diocese, congratulated the President on recent re-election into power and government in general for empowering the girl child.
We congratulate Your Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni upon his re-election as the President of the Republic of Uganda. Your victory signifies the confidence we have in the leadership and securing our future.
We also convey our sincere gratitude to you, Mama. Mama, we love you so much, and appreciation for the tremendous support towards our mobilization group of mothers, mobilizers from ZAY. We were very happy when you pushed us and said, you go. The Bible tells you you can do that because you are mothers. So that pushed us that far.
The President described to the mothers the 4 principles of NRM, including patriotism, Pan-Africanism, socio-economic transformation, and democracy, while emphasizing the need to prioritize household income.
I have been involved in political, I would want to say socio-economic political work. Those 3 words. This is what I've been doing since the 60s, when I was a young boy. This is because I saw the problems of your people, whom you know. The problem was that they were living in a good land, but they didn't know how to make a good life out of it. And the main problem was of cholera or wucholoka, working only for the stomach, not knowing how to work for the stomach and the pocket. So, and that's what the problem I have is that the experiment I did, people have not, many of the actors have not understood it. If we can eliminate Okore or Wutowoka, you are going to have stable politics, because banaboni bakora bwavu okudobo nkana bwebati, it's just poverty. And it is poverty because nobody has reached them to guide them how to get out of poverty.
Upon Ugandans to report all the alleged incidents of kidnapping to police for proper investigations. The Minister for Internal Affairs, General Jeje Odong, told Parliament that so far they have had 44 cases of alleged kidnapping and human rights violations, adding that investigations are on. Legislators were also concerned on the use of cameras installed in major towns to curb crime. We bring you the highlights of this report.
We have 44 cases of alleged kidnap. 7 of these, that is Muyanja Suleiman, Sebaduka Ali Bogere, Twaibu Dumba, Chibirige Emma, Junju Sharif, Kakai Jane, and Babiro Rita were not actually kidnapped. They were arrested and were charged, and they have been bailed. 4, that is Lumu Ronald, Kabale Bernard, Mugarula Ronald, and Shafiq were kidnapped, were not actually kidnapped, but they were arrested. Galiwango Rogers, allegedly kidnapped from Chebando with 10 others, resurfaced 3 days later, so they are no longer recorded as missing persons. Kiwanuka Fred was allegedly abandoned. We are yet to take a statement from him to determine how he disappeared from Mukono and appeared in Busunju. From this, therefore, 31 cases are yet to be traced. And these 31 are summarized as follows: 11 from Chotera, 9 from Cheba and Nansana, 1 from Buaise, 7 from Mukono, and 1 from Kireka, and 1 from Mukono. That are the 31 we have not yet been able to account for from the 44 who have been reported as kidnapped. As I have indicated, investigations are ongoing, and I undertake to give progress of these investigations with the time as more information is obtained. I would like also to take this opportunity to appeal to you, honorable colleagues, and the public in general, to please report any alleged incidents of kidnapping to the police. I can guarantee we will undertake to investigate each and every one of the reported incidents, and we will be able to provide information as and when we get it.
I want to find out from the Minister for Internal Affairs, when Zebra was killed in Kawempe, police said they had seen that vehicle called the drone going to Chevando and going somewhere, and eventually, but that's how far they went. What is the use of these cameras that you have, Honorable J.J. Odong? In Chireka, where we're talking about, there are more than 10 cameras, almost every after a few meters. What is the use of these cameras?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I feel that the statement of the Minister must be holistic. I have heard from the media that the Deputy IGP has given instructions to the intelligence agencies to give report and urgently about the missing person. Now, if this minister is the one presiding over the same ministry, and your technocrats are asking themselves as to who is responsible for this arrest and where are they?
Of the present IG, Inspector General of Police, there was supposed to be, or there was a census of guns in this country, I think with a view to identifying who has the guns and withdrawing those guns which are probably not in the right hands. But we are concerned that you see people on the street with no uniform, no identification, armed in the open and walking, and life just goes on. We want to know who they are, who can account for their guns. Thank you, Minister.
In more news, former East African Legislative Assembly member and partner of Victoria Advocates and Legal Consultants, Dan Wandera Ogalo, has revealed that the government's failure to implement the previous Supreme Court recommendations on electoral reforms in the Mama Mbabazi versus President Yoweri Museveni presidential elections petition of 2016 has partly necessitated the regular petitioning. Now, Ogalo stressed that similar grounds have kept on resurfacing in all petitions in breach of the Constitution, which is the supreme law book in the land. Details follow.
By close of business next week, the Supreme Court of Uganda is expected to kick off the hearing process of the 2021 presidential election petition, in which Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu is challenging President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to Buhabulwa's victory. But prior to that, analysts and experts have laid down the preamble.
Is the election guidelines and the law must be published in good time, so that the people are aware. You don't just publish guidelines today, say tomorrow no campaigns in the next in the following 15 districts. Clearly, that is a failure of the test.
Kyagulanyi, among others, is seeking for the annulment of the 2021 presidential outcome by singling out unconstitutional conducts like the involvement of the army in the electoral process, unleveled the political ground for all, ballot stuffing, among other grounds in his petition. However, according to renowned city lawyer Dan Wandera Ogalo, all these must be based on facts and evidence.
A recording is evidence as long as you lay a foundation for it. As long as you show, yes, it is so and so who took this recording, he kept it, it was transcribed in this way, and it is now being produced by that type of person in the court. It is admissible. There is nothing wrong with that. So if he lays the foundation of those recordings on how they were made, who made them, and that those people who made them come and produce them in court. It is admissible.
Ogaro, however, faults the Electoral Commission for operating outside the law, which might probably give Kyagulanyi a legal walking stick.
You don't start if 1 month or so to one election and you say now apply COVID rules. You must have your own rules as the Electoral Commission. COVID, yes, but you must translate them in light of the electoral law. COVID is not for the Electoral Commission to enforce. It's not. So you must be able to take whatever guidelines you want, and they must be relevant to your electoral process. So those are the tests. So if Kyagulanyi has got evidence to that effect, there is no reason why the court should not annul the election.
In the 2001, 2006 and 2016 presidential election petitions, the Supreme Court has on different grounds dismissed the case, but with a variety of recommendations, but up to date they have been denied attention.
The Attorney General, the government, they are to blame, and to a small extent Parliament. Because the recommendations of a Supreme Court in a presidential petition is a very important thing. The Supreme Court is telling you, you are flawed, you have got problems, fix this. If you want a free and fair election, fix this. So if you do not fix it, you are doing the country a disfavor, and the blame lies squarely on government.
Although the previous presidential petitions have not favored the petitioner, Ogaro does not rule out Kyagulanyi and his lawyers having a better case this time round against the status quo. The 2021 presidential petition will be presided over by the Chief Justice Alphonse Owiny-Dolo alongside 8 others, who includes Justice Esther Kisache Kisimbo, Justice Stella Arach Amako, Justice Ruby Aweri Apio, Faith Monda, Justice Paul Mugambe, Ezekiel Muhanguzi, Person Knight Tuhaise, and Justice Mike Chibita. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Kampala.
Moving on, the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development is looking for 20 billion Ugandan shillings to settle land disputes of Lusanja, Ndeba and Bugangaizi in Munyoro. This was revealed by the Land Minister Betty Kamya, who appeared before the Budget Committee on Thursday morning. Our reporter Bernard Jiga attended the committee proceedings and filed this report. Watch.
In October 2018, people of Lusanja were evicted following a court eviction order by Naweru Court to businessman Kichoncho, which led to demolition of property and leaving several families homeless. In the same vein, a similar court, the High Court in October 2019, upheld the decision of Naweru Magistrate Court and ordered squatters on the contested land on Umpere-Rwekitezi Road to vacate it after establishing that it was bought by business mogul Chichoncho. Government later took an out-of-court settled decision to business mogul Chichoncho, in which he applied for loss of interest in the case, but on condition that is financially sorted out and leave the land to the squatters. The Minister for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Betty Kamya, Thursday presented a supplementary budget before the Line Committee of Parliament to consider approving additional funding of 7.6 billion shillings to pay off Medat Kichoncho and Dodoviko Mwaje, a businessman who owns the land that houses St. Peter's Church in Ndeba that was demolished. President Museveni visited the two places and promised to handle the matter.
And the chief government valuer valued the land in Lusanja at 3.8 billion plus, and that's what we came to ask for, and it has been approved, praise God. And we also, the chief government valuer valued land of Ndeba Church at still 3.8 billion plus, and that's what we have asked for.
Minister Kamya says businessmen Medat Kichoncho and Dodoviko Mwaje have both agreed to be compensated by government.
We are compensating Mr. Medat Kichoncho, the purchaser, because it's easier for one person to move away than to get 3,000 people to move away. Many of them have already settled. They have their permanent houses built there. They have their commercial enterprises.
The Minister of Lands is also seeking to amend their laws to stop third parties from evicting historical tenants without adequate due diligence with the concerned parties.
People selling titled land to third parties, and third parties getting eviction orders from court and evicting bona fide or historical tenants. So we are proposing to amend the law, to strengthen the law, which will put a higher burden on the purchaser of land to prove that he has done or she has done due diligence, adequate due diligence, and that the land they are proposing to buy is incumbent free.
Bernard Higa, UBC News, Parliament.
Thank you so much, Banajika, for that report. Doctors want an increment on their budget up to 30% in the coming financial year to enable them fight the neglected tropical diseases in the herd to reach areas of Uganda. Ministry of Health has committed to support the invented program and has applauded doctors in the sector for having introduced such a program that is expected to bring these diseases to an end by the year 2025. Our reporter Shaidat attended the launch at Golden Tulip Hotel in Kampala and filed this report.
As the country moves towards global control and elimination goals for neglected tropical diseases, there is still a high burden of these diseases mainly affecting the rural poor, resulting in low productivity. Now, Ministry of Health has embarked on strengthening health systems with an aim of bringing to an end these diseases. Among them is bilharzia, sleeping sickness, elephantiasis, river blindness, intestinal worms and jiggers.
If we reduce infections, the disease-causing organisms in people's blood, then even if a mosquito bit you tonight, it will not pick that agent that transmits the infection.
Dr. Mubangizi says the program will need more support since these neglected diseases rarely kill but leave one with a permanent disability, which also comes with costs.
We are advocating that it should be increased to at least 30%.
To ensure that we do the minimum to sustain the achievements that we made, that we don't see any new lymphatic filariasis cases.
They leave you with permanent disability. For example, with trachoma and the onchocerciasis, you become blind.
They also asked other sectors, like national water, to lend them a hand in the fight since they play a critical role in supplying clean water in these hard-to-reach areas of Uganda.
And that's why the ministry is now calling for multi-sectoral effort. It's a critical partner in the reduction and the elimination of neglected tropical diseases. Sanitation, use of pit latrines.
They also hope by 2030, even when the donors withdraw from supporting them, they shall be able to sustain the program.
Even when donors have gone, what are we supposed to do for us now to push NTD once and for good in Uganda?
While launching the first Uganda Neglected Tropical Disease Control Program Sustainability Plan 2020-2025, ahead of the world commemoration of these diseases, Ministry of Health has committed to support the program.
The Ministry of Health is committed to pursuing and achieving the goals of this sustainability plan for NTDs, elimination and eradication through working in close collaboration with our partners.
It's worth noting that the country has for all these years relied mainly on donated neglected tropical diseases medicines due to the global understanding of the impact of these diseases on rural communities and the poor. The government of Uganda has been using the available domestic resources for other social service priorities, but this program is to target only those diseases that have been neglected for long, with or without donors. Shaidat in Nasaku, UBC.
Uganda Police has passed out senior officers after the completion of the Intermediate Command and Staff Course intake of 005 of the year 2020-2021. While presiding over this out ceremony, the police commissioner in charge of political mobilization in the force, AIGP Asan Kasenje, who represented the IGP, said there's need for more sophisticated investigative skills proportionate to the current rate of criminality. Details in this report.
The contemporary criminality in Uganda warrants unique policing techniques with high-level professionalism. At the 50th pass out of the senior officers at the Senior Staff Command Training College at Webaja, the Assistant Inspector General Police, Asan Kasenje, encouraged police officers for the profession upgrade to meet the current investigation dynamics of criminality.
The operational, strategic and specialized capabilities of the Uganda Police Force in order to meet the increasing security and crime challenges in the policing sector, locally and internationally.
Kasenje challenged officers to live on the public expectations of professionalism, discipline, being sensitive to society needs, as well as balancing their powers with human rights.
We are coming out at a time of a watershed. These are challenging times between the trust and confidence that the people of the Republic of Uganda have in the Uganda Police Force. May you now come back and join your different professions in order to make sure that we improve the image by doing the right things and being accountable to whatever we do.
The course covered the police components of leadership and management, command and operations, human rights, community policing, management of crime investigations and intelligence, service writing and staff duties, among others.
We conducted field visits on policing as a theme focused on harnessing the role of forensic science in investigations, curtailing transnational organized crime, the role of information communication technology in crime management, especially focusing on the Safe City project.
Commander John Kami expressed the need for more infrastructure support to the college to be able to produce a reasonable number of officers in specialized fields of policing.
CCTVs and many areas. We were also able to visit some projects in the country, wildlife conservation areas, power stations, to emphasize the role of commanders in keeping security on national economy.
The capacity building the Uganda Police Force is being enhanced with the partnerships and collaborations with higher institutions of learning like Makerere University and other international organizations. Abdul Nasser Lubwama, UBC News.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we are not going to leave anything on our plates, because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
Tell me, how do you do? We're here to show some appreciation for the things you do.
Sent you for today, and we sent you for tomorrow. Sent you for every time and everywhere you go. We love you so, and we enjoy life with you. We are happy, happy, happy to know that we will go with you. That's why we say thank you, thank you, thank you, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for choosing MTN. Use MTN mobile money, bundles or other services to get Thank You points. The more you use, the more Thank You points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Thank you.
You're still watching UBC News Tonight with me, Sharon, Chomcha and Nakakoni Elizabeth on Sign Language. In more news, Buganda Road Court in Kampala has issued an arrest warrant to Pastor Franklin Kyomugisha to be brought in court on charges of obtaining money by false pretense, conspiracy to commit a crime. Now this comes after Pastor Franklin Kyomugisha turned down the summons to appear before court on several occasions, giving what was deemed to be flimsy excuses, among them claiming to be under COVID-19 treatment in self-isolation. Details follow.
On several counts, Pastor Franklin Kyomugisha has turned down court summons to appear before Buganda Road Court Magistrate to answer charges on obtaining money by false pretense, conspiracy to commit a crime, among others. Kyomugisha, through his lawyers, has been giving alleged lame excuses of not attending court, including being on COVID-19 treatment.
Holding brief or consultant.
So you don't know you're submitting in room, or you don't know what to say?
I'm presenting the letter which has been forwarded to me by consultant, so it's fair if this...
See, you're shooting yourself in your foot because you don't know what has been transpiring. Your lawyer was here on 28th and he said the man has gone for better treatment. He has been suffering from COVID. Upon denial of appearing in court early Thursday morning, Magistrate Gladys Kamasanyu has issued out an arrest warrant to Pastor Mondo to be dragged before court as soon as possible. I must find that there is no reason grounded by two advocates who are holding brief for counsel. But the one of our arrests here is with against one Bishop Franklin Mondo, the further accused in this case, who has refused to produce himself to court. He should therefore be compelled, produced for court to answer the charges. The same court issued out a non-cash bail of 10 million on Maggie Nakaima, also known as Nabyomkazi. Maggie Nakaima is facing 3 more charges in the same court and she will not be released from Kigo prison. Pastor Siraje Semanda, the co-accused, was not granted bail because of non-substantial sureties. The accused were charged with more 17 counts, including collecting 200 million from pastors, deceiving them of constructing them houses, and looking after the needy, but they all pleaded not guilty. You were charged jointly with 17 counts of obtaining money by false pretense. Now, in this one, the amount is the count 2. The amount is 2,725,000 Uganda shillings. The complainant is Waiswa Hannington. Pastor Franklin Kyomugisha, Pastor Siraje Semanda, and Maggie Nakaima, commonly known as Nabyomkazi, are all facing the same charges of obtaining money by false pretense. Court was adjourned to the 11th February 2021. Lydia Chomkama, Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
The government, through the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, has launched a single registry for social protection, which will enable planning, implementation and monitoring of social protection programs in the country. The launch of the single registry comes at a time when Ugandan households do have regular basic incomes and are exposed to a range of vulnerabilities, including food and livelihood insecurities. As the Gender, Labour and Social Development Minister, Frank Tumwebaze, launched the single registry before the start of Uganda Uganda has a number of social protection schemes in place. However, these were often inadequate and failed to reach many of the country's poorest and most vulnerable. Details follow.
The National Single Registry Platform for Social Protection has been launched in Kampala today. The registry is a single digital platform that consolidates information on all the social protection schemes in the country for purpose of improved coordination. Minister Tumwebaze commended Ministry of Gender for innovating the single registry that will help to promote transparency and accountability since it contains all data for social protection.
Of accountability. These are really tools of accountability and they are tools of efficiency. Now that we are integrating, we should bring the police on board. We could have a mechanism that obligates every police station to try and input into the system cases of GBV reported.
Tumwebaze called upon development partners to continue supporting social protection programs. In 2011, the UK's Department for International Development contracted Maxwell Stamp and Development Pathways to carry out a long-term project to build a comprehensive national social protection system that will help reduce chronic poverty and income security in the country. The first phase of the project entailed the development of a national social protection policy and the implementation of a cash transfer pilot called Social Assistant Grants for Empowerment. Social Assistant Grants for Empowerment piloted two schemes, a Senior Citizens Grant and a Vulnerable Families Grant. The project fell on the heels of government failure in 2009 to support the introduction of cash transfer. Following the end of the first phase of the project, it committed to a national rollout strategy and a progressive handover to be financed by the government. However, Minister Tumwebaze directed the line department at the Ministry of Gender to adopt the system as it will help improve on efficiency, especially in tracking labor migrants too.
Systems integration, let it be reintegration. When I open this system, what do I see? Am I able to connect this and that and get what I want? So I think this coordination of government piece is very good, and I want to thank you.
The representative of World Bank Group and Social Protection, Specialist Fatuma Nakwi, says single registry is timely as it will allow government to respond to the needs of vulnerable households.
Platform. This is a critical platform that will directly contribute to enhancing economic productivity and human capital development in Uganda.
Meanwhile, the Permanent Secretary at Ministry of Gender, Aggrey David Kibinge, says the single registry will help the ministry to achieve a lot and it will be able to mitigate gaps identified as social protection policy. The registry is already incorporated in the management information systems of Social Assistant Grant for Empowerment with a data of 304,000 beneficiaries and Northern Uganda Social Action Fund, among others. Lydia Chomkama, Moriniga, UBC.
As Uganda joins the rest of the world to celebrate the International Cancer Day, cancer specialist Dr. Kyomugisha is in an exclusive interview with UBC's Sandra Kahunde and has revealed that cancer is the second leading cause of deaths globally, which is caused by the uncontrolled growth of a group of cells in the body affecting all age groups if not detected at the right time and not treated. In this report, Dr. Kyomugisha says it can increase the risk. Watch.
Recent studies estimate about 1 out of 6 people worldwide died from cancer. That's more than HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria combined. This year's theme is I am and I will, as a reminder of the enduring power of cooperation and collective action. Dr. Kyomugisha refutes the myth that Ugandans believe and are convinced that cancer does not cure and that the disease is like a death sentence.
Is that it's not a myth that cancer is a lifestyle disease. Cancer is one of those diseases we call non-communicable diseases. Diseases that are not contagious. They can't be spread from one person to another. It's not like COVID. It's not even like malaria, that a mosquito bites you, it bites your brother and your brother gets the malaria parasites. No. Cancer is actually a lifestyle disease. But there is also a genetic predisposition for some cancers. So some cancers, it may not be because of one's lifestyle. It may be because of their genetics.
He further urged Ugandans to go for cancer screening as a way to fight the non-communicable disease, as he cited some of the main cancers affecting Uganda as a nation.
The commonest cancer in this country is cancer of the cervix. That any part of the body can actually develop cancer. And that's important for all our viewers to know, There can be cancer in the lungs, in the breast, in the prostate, in the brain, any part of the body. And so when we say how many cancers are there, I usually say there are over 100 cancers, and the reason is really to dramatize the response to the question, just for somebody to know that as many cancers as we have different body cells.
The primary goal of World Cancer Day is to significantly reduce illness and death caused by cancer. Sandra Kahunde, Irene Nakungu, UBC News.
Thank you so much, Sandra Kahunde, for the highlights and teaching us more about cancer and what it can do. In more stories, the Chief of Defense Forces, General David Mohozi, has launched a mountain brigade code named 333 with its tactical and operational base at Kyomugisha barracks in Kabarole district. Details for that.
UPDF leadership is looking at having operational areas across the country as the first priority.
I commend you for using this land for operations other than war. Very, very important. But I think where we are going, we need to be better organized. As I moved with the CLM, he talked about tractors.
The Chief of Defense Forces, General David Mohozi, says the soldiers' welfare can improve when security of the area is guaranteed. Brigadier Moses Kwichiriza, the Mountain Division Commander, said the ADF is still a big challenge in the Rwenzori region. He is, however, optimistic that with the strategic positioning of the army, they will easily wipe out rebels.
Efforts are in place to deal with the enemy, but ADF is still imminent threat to our country.
Along and astride the path, Kabarole and Mubende, it was once a pathway for ADF, so its acquisition was important, very, very important and timely.
People cannot just use this land and earn money and go. Please make sure Chikumi is here to maintain this building, to make sure that we have running water. This is a lot of money around here.
Kabende sub-county bordering Semliki National Park is one of the ADF suspected hideouts in Kabarole district.
3 families in Kaira village, Chimengo sub-county in Masindi district are in tears after unknown persons set their homes ablaze. The victims left home in the morning to cast their vote, leaving the young ones with a neighbor. At around midday, Kachebezi James and his brother Kachibaho Moses received a call from a neighbor informing them that their houses were on fire. The 2 brothers allegedly lost about 9 million Ugandan shillings in cash, land titles and more property in the inferno. Kachebezi informed GBC that he was a polling agent of an NRM candidate by the time he lost everything in the inferno.
barumuna banje umwe mu government nakorera government ndijo kaza korro uko
yaba kansara na chairman siri twagiye n'abakazi twashanga amajuga batera ese umugwa amajuga se bayitahira mu bintu bingendagano z'amataka.
Some stories leave you speechless, because at the end of the day we're still Ugandans and brethren. We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with more stories.
Shopping needs, come to Capital Shoppers. We have a variety of items like foods, garments, cosmetics and all sorts of drinks. Enjoy your shopping experience at affordable prices in our fully stocked branches in the following areas: Intida Station Road, opposite Makere Business School along Portbell Road, Justice Street opposite Nakasero Market, and Garden City on Yusuf Lule Road. To all our customers and suppliers, we thank you for your continuous support. Stay safe, wash your hands, sanitize, and wear your mask always.
The day the world stopped was the day we found where to go. From now on, we are not going to leave anything on our plates, because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there, and they never tasted this good.
We'll come back from that short commercial break. In our business stories, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal and Fisheries has urged farmers to dare not plant crops in this period. Projected weather forecasts indicate little rains. In the same range, the ministry appeals to farmers to improve on the quality during harvest season. The Minister of Agriculture, Vincent Bamlanga Chisempi, made the revelations at the Media Center in Kampala District.
Farmers are advised not to cultivate in rainy seasons that are not reliable for farming. Sempija says the ministry shall earlier inform the public the time for planting when the rain starts between March and May.
The rains will start in March and the rains will go through up to May, even part of June, and then we have enough rains for the farmers to plant wheat, even be enough for.
He adds that the outbreak of COVID-19 affected the ministry and led to price fluctuation. However, there are means undertaken to stabilize the situation.
Prices have been affected. Prices of our exports, prices of our export crops like coffee, prices of maize, prices of some of our products, including milk, including eggs, including other poultry products like the chicken that we export. There are various reasons. There are really various reasons, but some of them are due to logistics.
Minister also encourages farmers to improve on quality during drying of crops. On the other hand, the ministry, together with scientists, is yet to produce pesticide and vaccines that will kill ticks in livestock. That is to be launched officially in the period to be communicated.
We are close to getting our own vaccine, the anti-tick vaccine. We are also close to getting vaccines that can fight the ACF, that AC fever.
Farmers are encouraged to inquire advice from the extension staff officers of the ministry on how to produce harvests on a large scale. Irene Faith Nantongo, Andrew Sebida, UBC News.
At last, vendors in Owino Market have met the Executive Director of Kampala Capital City Authority, Dorothy Chisache, to iron issues to do with the embattled old leadership of the market that has since declined to leave office. They claim that the current chairman, Godfrey Kayunga, has disrespected the presidential directive on market leadership. In this report, the market vendors appeal to Executive Director of Kampala Capital City Authority to visit the market and ensure that the old management implements the presidential directive like other markets have done already. Details follow.
Very soon we are going to be in Owino, but the details, leave that to me.
Vendors this morning interfaced and requested the Executive Director of Kampala Capital City Authority to make sure that the presidential directive on markets is implemented in Owino Market.
Leero nakyo mukama wange nakyo taata waffe mutugambire akuika akalulu
naye ne Salimu Sale atute kyonna mwesa president n'ayingirawo n'atuzimbira akatale fene tugala president tasobola kukola akatale ke yatuzimbira.
Dorothy Chisaka assured the vendors that their request is to take effect as soon as possible and requested them to keep calm. She was not pleased about the 2 bank accounts belonging to Kayongo as he continues to distort money from these vendors and the facts about the market land being owned on lease apparently by the old leadership.
Our Directorate of Revenue Collection is streamlining how the market dues are going to be collected. For us, we follow the law. The government should be in a position, and it is, to acquire the market for the vendors to use. It is a market that's going to be not belong to anybody in particular. It's a property that is going to be used by vendors. When you are tired of the market, you move out, other vendors come in.
Meanwhile, the Kampala Lord Mayor-elect made a surprise visit during the meeting and re-echoed the pledge made by KCCA on the same matter.
Elections must be conducted so that we get a new leadership. And the position is very clear that we have a leadership which is democratically elected and it's for the people of St. Bali Kudembe.
He refuted claims made about him failing to manage these issues since he has served for 2 terms with the existence of Owino market wrangles, and so far nothing has been settled.
Kayongo has always been vicious. Kayongo has always been violent. He has kanyamas, he has those hoodlums he hires to beat up people. That's the problem we have always had.
Attending the same meeting at KCCA grounds, the Presidential Advisor on Markets, Susan Kushaba, urged the Executive Director KCCA and the Lord Mayor to implement the pledge made before the vendors.
Bigenda kuteekebwa mu nkola kubanga bazze babyogera Owino eno yabuutikirwa bakanyama kyovula abantu badde basazeewo bo baagala kulondera wano kubanga eri bajja kuteekawo embeera era nga Lord Mayor nga bw'agyogedde bali bamukubiddeko kkomu Owino.
The vendors appreciate the President for his support rendered to low-income earners, especially those operating from the markets. Sandra Kahunde, Ari Nakungu, UBC TV.
From the sports scene, our best Onduparaka Football Club has signed a 3-year, 625 million Ugandan shilling sponsorship deal with betting giants Ababate. Now, henceforth, the betting giants take on the Shat sponsorship rights, with the stadium name now changed to Ababate Greenlight Stadium. This deal comes just days after the club has lengthened its stay with MT in Uganda and just days to the Uganda Premier League restart. Currently, Onduparaka is 7th after 5 games, having collected 8 points, and it's in its 5th. Starting with a date against Ginger Esses, the club plays table toppers UPDF, Chetuba Police, and reigning champions Vipers. The hierarchy believes the latest achievements of the pitch will boost results to enable the team attain heights they harbour.
One thing that we have always believed in, we believe in working together with the community. Onduparaka has come out to show that you can actually work with the community. We also believe that, like you have seen on our videos that we are showing, relating government and Onduparaka, it is believed that if you want to move fast, that if you want to move work together. So together with Onduparaka, we want to start this journey and see where it will lead us.
We're very honored and excited to have Ababate on board as the lead sponsor of Onduparaka Football Club. It's been 2 years since we last had lead sponsor on the front of our shirts, so this sponsorship means everything to us, because one of the struggles that clubs, especially from the grassroots, face is financial challenges. So for us to be able to have a lead sponsor that is going to enhance our finances is very important for us, because it's motivation for the players, but it's also a motivation for us as management to invest in the development of the club and to sustain it in the top flight. This also again motivates us to accelerate our performance, especially now that we are going into the 2020-2021 season. We've done quite well so far, but now there's a huge task for us to ensure that we start on a high note and that we maintain our performance amongst the competitive teams in the league for this season, in order to have value for the sponsors that have come on board for the club.
The Thank you so much for watching UBC News Tonight with me, Sharon, Kyomugisha and Nakakoni Elizabeth on sign language. From the team and I, have a lovely night. We leave you with the weather forecast by Kim, and it is also sponsored by Umeme. Have a good night.
Brought to you by
At Umeme, your safety is our top priority. Report illegal practices to Umeme when you detect them. Download the Umeme app for other services. Stay alert, stay safe, save lives. Umeme, powering Uganda.
You're welcome. Here is the latest in weather from the Weather Center with Semper Alex Kim. We are having sunny conditions across the country, though there are a few areas, especially along the Lake Victoria Basin and some parts of the central, that have been receiving some light isolated showers. And this is so because of the presence of Lake Victoria. Otherwise, the satellite look on Africa shows us dry but quite warm winds coming in from the north through Sahara Desert into our region, the reason for the hazy conditions as well as the pickup in warm temperatures. Tomorrow morning, we do expect sunny conditions across most parts of the country, though the Lake Victoria Islands are expected to have some light isolated showers, but also thundering.